Right before graduation, Jocelyn Reed, the queen bee of our elite prep school, got dumped. Hard. By Ethan Vance, the campus king himself. I was nursing a cup of instant ramen, watching her stare blankly at her textbook, and saw my opening. "Hey," I said, leaning closer. "I kind of look like him. You wanted to ask you out." She was silent for a long moment. Then, she took the custom-made couple's bracelet she'd been about to give Ethan and snapped it onto my wrist. I accepted my role with zero shame. I was in it for the money. I asked her for $100,000 a month. She wired me $200,000. Our nights together were scheduled 4 times a week. Punctual, precise, and my service was impeccable. Everyone said the great Jocelyn Reed had finally found true love. Until the day her assistant quietly pulled me aside. "That new special aid Mr. Vance? The one Ms. Reed just hired? I hear he was quite the big deal back in high school." He leaned in. "Sir, I think Ms. Reed really likes him. She gave him that private lounge you love so much." I went after Jocelyn Reed for one reason: her money. She was a hopeless romantic who loved to spoil her boyfriends. While I was scraping by on instant noodles, I envied Ethan Vance more than anyone, especially the $250,000 watch he wore before he even had a diploma. I could never understand why he'd toss aside a walking bank account like Jocelyn for some scholarship kid. So, the day he slapped her across the face and stormed off, I cut him off at the classroom door. "You two really done?" He glanced at my frayed school uniform, a look of pure disgust on his face as he shoved my hand away. "Yeah, we're done. So, I can make a move on her?" He looked me up and down, taking in my worn-out clothes, and let out a bark of laughter. "Sure, go for it. If you actually manage to land her, I'll give you this watch." I stared at the $200,000 watch Jocelyn had given him and nodded. At our graduation party, when Jocelyn walked in with her arm linked through mine, the smile on his face froze. While she was in the restroom, he requested a song from the DJ. As the lyrics, "You cheating, two-timing bastard," blasted through the speakers, the room went silent. All eyes turned to me. "Leo Miller," Ethan sneered. "You're a real snake." I knew exactly what I was to Jocelyn, but I still popped open a bottle of champagne and poured the entire thing over Ethan's head. Then, I casually slipped the watch off his wrist. "A deal's a deal. If you didn't want me going after her, you shouldn't have gotten engaged to that scholarship girl." "Leo," he roared, lunging at me, but a figure flew in front of me just in time. Jocelyn took the punch for me. She pulled me out of the club and didn't say a word the entire drive home. She was heartbroken, I figured, and I knew my place. I quietly followed Ethan's Instagram. Every time he posted a new outfit, I bought the same one. I'd wear it on our scheduled nights together. Whenever she saw me dressed like Ethan, the look in her eyes was a complex, unreadable mix of emotions. I knew she was secretly following him, too. Seeing me was like looking at the man she used to love. My friends couldn't stand it. I was her husband, after all, but I thought it was a pretty sweet deal. I'd asked for $100,000. She'd give me 2. I upped the ante to $300,000. She sent me 5. Who needs love when you've got a life like this? I came from a family with no love and no money. I'd grab any chance to make a buck, shame be damned. As long as Jocelyn Reed was still interested in me, I was going to play my part perfectly. On our first anniversary, Ethan updated his Instagram. A new skull tattoo on his neck. It took 10 hours, and I nearly bit through my teeth from the pain, but I got the exact same one. When Jocelyn came out of the shower and saw the tattoo peeking out from under my purple shirt collar, the hand toweling her hair paused. "What? You don't like it? Don't do this again." She showed no interest in my new ink. "And throw out all your purple shirts." My heart sank. Purple was Ethan's favorite color. Was she tired of me playing her stand-in? Was the gig finally up? "I mean, it must have hurt," she said, flicking my forehead. "From now on, you don't have to copy him. I'll still give you plenty of money." The next day, the housekeeper cleared all the purple clothes from my closet. I never liked the color anyway. My wardrobe was refilled with black shirts and jackets. I felt the expensive, tailored fabric. Could it be? Did Jocelyn know that black was my favorite color? But if I wasn't copying Ethan, what was my job? I decided to test the waters. I asked for $800,000. She gave me a no-limit black card, a customized one for the spouse. My best friend, Ryan, was with me at a luxury car show. "I thought you said you were going to take the money and run after 5 years," he asked. "Time's almost up. When are you planning on filing for divorce?" I found myself staring at a display of infant clothes in a storefront window, lost in thought. I'd been Jocelyn Reed's stand-in for 5 years. I had no idea what it felt like to actually love someone. All I remembered from before my mom left with some other guy was the happiest thing she ever did for me. She made me a little rabbit out of foxtail grass. I bought some yarn and tried to knit a rabbit myself. My hands were covered in bloody pinpricks from the needles. After several ugly, failed attempts, I finally made a decent one. But it seemed Jocelyn didn't need it anymore. because today was one of our scheduled nights, and she was half an hour late. I fell asleep waiting on the couch. I was woken up by a kiss. I'm sorry, a partner added a last-minute clause. I got held up, Jocelyn murmured, settling onto my lap and wrapping her arms around my neck, kissing me deeply. For the first time, I push her away. When are you planning to divorce me? Her breath caught. What are you talking about? I looked her straight in the eye. I know he's back. You even gave him my favorite lounge. I checked. My access card had been revoked. Her body tensed. Jocelyn, don't get me wrong. I won't cling to you. I won't even ask for much of a settlement. Just give me. She had already grabbed her phone, her voice colder than I'd ever heard it. Special aid? What special aid? And what's this about the lounge? Since when do my personnel decisions get made without my approval? On the other end of the line, the head of HR's voice trembled. Ms. Reed, he showed us pictures of you two from back when you were dating. And he said that Mr. Miller stole you from him. Mr. Miller really does look a lot like Mr. Vance, and the photos were definitely of you. So we just assumed it was what you wanted. Jocelyn's expression was glacial. Blacklist Ethan Vance from the entire industry. I want to see Mr. Miller's access to the lounge restored within the hour. And you can go to accounting and pick up your final paycheck. The HR manager tried to explain, but Jocelyn had already hung up. I stared at her, stunned. She turned and pulled me into her arms, kissing my lips fiercely. I'm sorry. I had no idea. I haven't been at the main office lately. That part I believed. She was always flying around the world for business. But no matter how far she was, she never missed one of our 4 nights a week. Still uncertain, I held her hips firmly. You're not afraid of breaking his heart, blacklisting the one that got away. The one that got away? She kissed me until I was breathless. I only have you. Are you trying to tell me something? Yes. Then, Jocelyn Reed, I whispered, leaning in to kiss her lips. What am I to you? She paused, then responded with even more force. My husband. My amazing husband. A shiver went down my spine. Then from now on, I'm going to act like it. You always should have. That night, my hands on her waist, we didn't sleep at all. My knitting skills improved. I unraveled the first rabbit and made a bigger, cuter one. But then Ryan sent me a video. In the clip, Jocelyn was leaving a meeting at her Miami condo. She was holding a black umbrella as she walked right past Ethan. Since being blacklisted, he had nowhere to go. He couldn't even afford rent. He was soaked to the bone, his purple shirt clinging to his skin, outlining his lean physique. He looked at her, tears in his eyes, his voice trembling in the wind. Jocelyn. Jocelyn's steps faltered for a fraction of a second, but she kept walking without a single glance back. Jocelyn, have you forgotten what we had? Ethan's calls echoed after her, but she never turned around. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed she knew where her loyalties lay. I didn't expect Ethan to be so persistent. The torrential rain lasted all night. He stood outside her building all night, until he finally collapsed. A black umbrella appeared in my line of sight on the screen. Ethan forced his eyes open, looking up at the person holding it. Jocelyn was perfectly dry, her pale face expressionless. But the umbrella was tilted ever so slightly toward Ethan. Jocelyn flew back to New York the next day as planned. But that Miami condo, she gave it to Ethan. Leo, what the hell? Ryan's text came through. Jocelyn only ever spends money on her man. I thought for a moment, then typed back. If she sees me as her husband, then I'm going to act like one. That same day, Ethan Vance was kicked out of the condo. And on that same day, Jocelyn Reed didn't come home. It was the first time since our wedding that she had ever missed one of our nights. I called her over a dozen times. No answer. The next day, she returned, looking exhausted. Her eyes were bloodshot. Did you have Ethan thrown out? I didn't deny it. I did. Who gave you permission to be so unreasonable? The accusation in her tone stunned me. I looked up. Are you saying that as your husband, I'm supposed to tolerate your ex-boyfriend living in our property? Jocelyn didn't answer. She just scowled and tossed her phone at me, playing a video. On the screen, Ethan was being dragged into an alley by a dozen men. His fingers were being broken, one by one. Blood poured from his mouth. Jocelyn's voice trembled. If I hadn't gotten there in time, Ethan would have thrown himself off a bridge by now. I watched the video with cold eyes. What do you want from me? Go to the hospital. Apologize to Ethan. Jocelyn. I pushed the phone back at her. I don't apologize to the other man. The other man? A scornful smile I'd never seen before twisted her lips. If we're really keeping score, weren't you the other man? My breath hitched. She ignored my shock and turned to leave. For the first time ever, she slammed the door. I sat alone on the couch until late into the night. Messages from friends kept flooding my phone. Leo, what's going on? Why did Jocelyn drop everything to sit by some other guy's hospital bed? They're saying he's her first love. That's not true, is it? Leo, get to the hospital. You're about to lose your wife. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I packed my suitcase and waited. 3 days later, Jocelyn came home. She saw my luggage and let out a small, mocking laugh. What's this? Running away from home? I handed her the divorce papers. It's over. I don't want a settlement. The teacup in her hand froze midair. Her expression turned serious as she flipped through the agreement, page by page. Her hand was trembling slightly. Divorce? Who's going to give you that kind of money? Thank for everything, Ms. Reed. I won't starve. She paused. Fine, we can get a divorce. But you have to return every cent I ever spent on you. I froze. After 5 years as her stand-in, I'd spent a fair amount of the money I'd received. Seeing me hesitate, Jocelyn's smile relaxed a little. Can't pay it back? That's fine, as long as you don't get a divorce. I can. She stared at me. I've always been insecure about money. No matter how much I had, I never dared to spend it recklessly. Even with a 9-figure bank account, I'd still eat instant ramen with 2 eggs when Jocelyn was away. Over 5 years, I'd made hundreds of millions, but I'd only spent about $200,000. I handed her my bank card. I felt my wrist, took off the $200,000 watch, and placed it next to the card. That should cover the difference. I won this watch in a bet with Ethan. Technically, it's mine. Here, take it. Now we're even. I took her hand and placed the watch in her palm. The moment I turned to leave, she threw the watch aside and grabbed my arm. Don't go. I didn't really mean it. The normally articulate CEO of Reed Industries was at a loss for words. Jocelyn, don't. I started, annoyed, but when I turned and saw her face, I fell silent. A single tear hit the back of my hand. Are you crying? I asked, incredulous. I'm sorry. Her eyes were red. Don't do this to me. I had never seen a woman like her cry. If a photographer caught this, the Reed Industries stock would probably tank. So, I sat back down and let her explain. It turned out she hadn't been at the hospital at all for the past few days. She'd asked her friends to send me those provoking messages because she thought I was the one who'd arranged for Ethan to be brutalized. She couldn't accept me doing something like that. I could kick him out, but I couldn't be so cruel as to have a group of men humiliate him. She had taken him to the hospital and visited frequently because she didn't want me to get sued. Calling you the other man. I was just angry. I'm sorry, Jocelyn said, her eyes welling up. I was silent for a moment. Jocelyn, you really hurt me this time. A flash of pain crossed her face. But I'll give you one more chance. Her eyes lit up. Jocelyn, I want you to cut off all contact with Ethan Vance. Send him away. Far away. Okay. She gripped my hand like it was a long-lost treasure. I promise. Jocelyn was true to her word. The next day, Ethan was on a flight out of the country, to a place where, coincidentally, his ex-girlfriend was currently backpacking. Jocelyn seemed deeply troubled by the fact that she had hurt me. Her right-hand woman secretly let me in on a piece of news. At this weekend's press conference, the CEO was going to officially announce her partner. Our marriage had been a secret. As her stand-in, I'd never had a problem with that. But now, I found myself looking forward to this announcement. During our scheduled nights that week, she was more insatiable than ever. Afterwards, she would cling to me. There's a press conference this weekend. I want you to come with me. I smiled, pretending I didn't already know. Okay. That weekend, I arrived as planned. Jocelyn's assistant led me to a seat in the front row. The spotlight was aimed perfectly to hit me. The entire press corps was there, cameras and microphones at the ready. Everyone was dying to know who the man was that Ms. Reed had been hiding away for all these years. The assistant handed me a bouquet of roses. Bulgarian reds, my favorite. The petals were still dotted with morning dew, clearly flown and fresh. Amidst the buzzing anticipation, Jocelyn finally made her entrance. Standing below the stage, I watched as her eyes found mine, a playful, intimate smile on her face. She looked right at me as she brought the microphone to her lips. My other half is a boy I fell in love with at first sight back in high school. Love at first sight? I blinked, confused. The curtain behind her was pulled back. The roses were taken from my hands and given to another man. He's my first love, Ethan Vance. I stared in disbelief as the man, dressed in a casual purple suit, walked slowly onto the stage. The spotlight wasn't on me. It was illuminating his designer outfit. The man who was supposed to be halfway across the world wore a triumphant little smile. Jocelyn, my friend Ryan, shot to his feet. What is this? Her husband is right here. He shoved me toward the stage. Jocelyn's gaze swept past me, her smile turning to ice. Do I really have to expose what you did in front of the media before you'll finally give up? What are you talking about? My voice trembled as I looked at her. Ethan's eyes immediately reddened. A flicker of pity crossed Jocelyn's face. The next second, the large screen behind them lit up with images of Ethan in Northern Europe, disheveled, being beaten and humiliated by a group of men. Leo Miller, Jocelyn said, looking down at me. I sent him away like you asked. Why did you have to be so vicious? The room erupted. He hired people to assault someone for Ms. Reed? That's bold. Wait, what did that other guy just say? That this is Ms. Reed's husband? But she just announced the guy in purple. An entertainment reporter immediately smelled the story. Something's not right. If the guy in black is her husband, then the one she just announced is the other man. Exactly. And Ms. Reed just said she sent him away on the black-suited guy's request. Why would she listen to him if he wasn't her husband? Jocelyn cut through the noise. Everyone, I need to clarify something. Mr. Vance is not the other man. Her gaze landed on me. Mr. Miller is. With that, another series of photos flashed across the screen. They were all intimate memories from her time dating Ethan. At an amusement park, Jocelyn was busy making a peace sign for the camera while Ethan leaned down to steal a bite of her ice cream. On a roller coaster, a terrified, screaming Jocelyn had her eyes covered by a laughing Ethan. In a classroom, the exact moment Jocelyn was sneaking a glance at Ethan was captured by his camera. One by one, the sweet, innocent memories of youth transported everyone back to their teenage years. Many reporters recalled their own pasts, covering their mouths. Oh my God, that's so sweet. It reminds me of my first love. It seems that no matter how much time passes, you never forget your first love. You can see it in Ms. Reed's eyes. She's so in love. They were so perfect. Why did they break up? Ethan took the microphone. Right before graduation, Jocelyn and I had a small fight. Mr. Miller took that opportunity to confess his feelings for my girlfriend. We were both just being stubborn. By the time I wanted to make up, I saw him kissing her. He choked up, taking a moment to compose himself before continuing. I thought Jocelyn didn't love me anymore, so I found someone else. You're lying. Ryan was furious. You were the one who dumped Jocelyn to run off with that scholarship girl. Leo asked you if you were broken up. He asked if he could pursue her, and you said yes. Then, when you found out your new girlfriend was broke and wanted you to pay a dowry, you came crawling back to your sugar mama. You knew Jocelyn was married, and you still shamelessly weaseled your way into her company as an assistant. If anyone's the other man, it's you. Jocelyn's expression stiffened for a second, but quickly returned to normal. The reporters were confused, looking at each other. If what Mr. Ryan is saying is true, that's not really cheating, is it? A young couple has a spat, says things they don't mean, and this Leo guy takes it literally? That's cutting in, plain and simple. But Ethan himself said Leo could go after her. If a couple gets to that point, they might as well be broken up. Bottom line, Ethan said it was okay. You can't blame anyone else. Ethan hadn't expected things to go this way. He awkwardly tugged on Jocelyn's sleeve. Jocelyn, we weren't really broken up back then, were we? Jocelyn seemed to be lost in thought. When she snapped out of it, she gave me a complicated look. I clenched my fists. Ms. Reed, what we had was consensual, wasn't it? She frowned. She slowly took the microphone. Yes, Ethan and I were never actually broken up. It was all a misunderstanding. If we hadn't reconnected after all these years, I would have gone my whole life without knowing the truth. The entertainment reporters immediately pieced together the truth. So, Leo Miller took advantage of their fight to kiss Jocelyn, which made Ethan give up and find another woman. Then Ms. Reed saw Ethan with someone else, so she had no choice but to get with Leo. Neither Ethan nor Jocelyn denied it. The reporters immediately pointed their cameras at me. Bombshell exclusive. The man who knowingly played the other man for 5 years. Thank goodness Ms. Reed and Mr. Vance cleared up their misunderstanding. Otherwise, they would have missed their chance at happiness. What kind of name is Leo Miller? Sound as cheap as he is. What the hell are you talking about? Ryan, furious, tried to rush the stage, but I grabbed his arm. I looked at Jocelyn. So, you want a divorce? She hesitated for a beat, then nodded. Of course. The room burst into cheers. Congratulations to Ms. Reed and Mr. Vance on resolving their past. True love always finds its way back. Jocelyn didn't respond. She just kept looking at me. I didn't know what kind of reaction she was waiting for. I just nodded. Okay. She looked momentarily stunned. I grabbed Ryan, turned, and pushed my way through the swarm of reporters and cameras, leaving the venue without a single look back. When the divorce papers arrived, Jocelyn's assistant smirked at me. Ryan was livid. What are you looking at? We'll sign them right now and send them back. Oh, Mr. Miller won't sign, the assistant chuckled. Who else is going to give him that kind of money? This agreement leaves him with nothing. He wouldn't dare. Who says he wouldn't dare? Ryan was about to explode. I quickly pulled him back and looked at the assistant. I'll take the papers. I need some time to think it over. The assistant made a be my guest gesture. Take your time. As Ryan and I turned to leave, I heard him make a call. Yes, Ms. Reed. Just as you thought, he won't sign. Looks like his talk of divorce was just another bluff to get more out of you. On the other end of the line, I clearly heard Jocelyn let out a small, contemptuous laugh. But she had no idea. I was absolutely going to sign. Back at the empty house, Ryan was pacing, fuming. Who the hell does she think she is? She's the one who called you her husband, and now she pulls this crap. Seduces a guy and then kicks him to the curb. Is it some kind of sick game all rich girls play? Who said I was seduced? Ryan pouted. If you weren't, why do you come back here? Aren't you just cleaning up the evidence of your broken heart? My hand, which was packing up my knitting supplies, froze. I quickly stuffed the knitted rabbit into a storage bag, feigning indifference. Of course not. Then I put the love journal I'd kept for a year, the photos of Jocelyn and me, and the handmade ring I'd made for her into the same bag. I didn't want her to find them after I was gone and think I had actually been in love with her. I signed the divorce papers, placed them in the black card on her desk, and used the $200,000 watch as a paperweight. Then I grabbed my suitcase and walked out of that house for the last time. After I left, I found a small town and used the interest I'd earned on those hundreds of millions over the years to open a little flower shop. I try not to pay attention to news about Jocelyn, but she and Ethan were being incredibly public. She took him to an investment summit, personally introducing the out-of-his-depth man to industry titans. The waterfront restaurant she had only ever taken me to, that special VIP table by the window that was ours, now belonged to her and Ethan. On Valentine's Day, she bought him 52 lots of priceless pearls at a charity auction, one for every week of the year, a gesture that went viral. I'd already blocked both of their names, but I still couldn't escape posts about their romance. So I just turned off my phone and focused on my shop. Ryan rested his chin on his hands, squatting beside me. Don't worry, man. This won't last. I laughed and sprayed him with a watering can. Like I care if it lasts or not. Laughter soon filled the small shop. Meanwhile, Jocelyn couldn't stop looking at her phone. I hadn't sent her a message in a long time. During my years as her stand-in, I'd been diligent with my good mornings and good nights. Even if she didn't reply, I'd send a string of kissing emojis. After she started calling me her husband, I sent them even more frequently. This was the first time I had gone an entire week without sending a single word. Let's go back. They had planned to celebrate Valentine's all night, but before 10 o'clock, she made an excuse and left Ethan. It was the first time she had returned to our marital home all week. She expected to find me there, sulking. But when she opened the door, the first thing she saw was the agreement on her desk, held down by a watch. She flipped to the last page. My signature was on every line that required it. She knew my handwriting. I had really signed. Her assistant, standing beside her, was speechless. Jocelyn grabbed her by the shoulders. You told me he was bluffing. Why did he leave the card in the watch? I don't understand either. The assistant stammered, staring at the black card on the desk. Mr. Miller shouldn't have been able to part with it. Find him. Jocelyn's voice was hoarse. Search New York and the surrounding cities. Get the team in Miami on it, too. Check flights, trains. I need to know where he went. Right away. But Ms. Reed, the assistant couldn't help but ask, do you want this divorce or not? Jocelyn froze. I was in the back garden, tilling soil, when someone came up behind me. Ryan, hand me the watering can, will you? After a moment, the person behind me hadn't moved. Confused, I started to turn, but was suddenly shoved against the wall. You'd rather be here planting flowers than be with me? What are you doing here? Isn't it Valentine's? I left the divorce papers for you. Who told you to actually sign them? Her breathing was unsteady. I never wanted you to leave me. If I had known you would really sign, I never would have played that game with you. Game? I was stunned. She clutched the front of my shirt. I was just angry. After what you did to Ethan. It was horrible. I get that you were jealous, but your methods were just disgusting. I was just trying to teach you a lesson. I never planned on actually divorcing you. I looked at her shocked. And you thought threatening divorce was the way to teach me a lesson? Because I knew you'd never really leave. Her eyes were red. I know you only see me as your meal ticket. You act out sometimes to get more money. But what you did that time was too much, so when you tried to use divorce as a threat again, I just went along with it instead of indulging you. Suddenly, I laughed. A slap echoed through the garden, but it wasn't from me. It was Ryan, back from a supply run. You're the one who's acting out. You and Ethan both. If Leo was really just acting, why would he leave the black card behind? If he really saw you as a meal ticket, he would have taken you to court and gotten half of everything. Jocelyn's body went rigid. She looked at me, a flicker of surprise in her eyes, as if she was only just now realizing this detail. Leo, is that true? There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. But I just smiled. How about this? Give me 2/3 of your net worth, and I'll come back with you. The hope in her eyes died. She looked down and let out a soft, bitter laugh. I see. You're still the same person you've always been. It's up to you whether you come back or not. With that, she turned and left. In Jocelyn's mind, I would eventually come back. After all, I was only in it for the money. Who else would give me that much? But I took Ryan and left. She waited and waited, but I never returned. She finally went back to the flower shop, but it was empty, abandoned. In a pile of discarded items, a storage bag caught her eye. She opened it. Inside, a soft, knitted rabbit, perfect for cuddling. A black-covered journal fell out. An old-fashioned one with a combination lock. She tentatively entered my birthday. Incorrect. Then, with a look of disbelief, she entered her own. Click. It opened. She stared at the journal, unable to believe it. June 12th, 2017, met a super rich girl with a broken heart. This is it, Leo. You're gonna eat like a king from now on. May 23rd, 2019, Ryan asked if it sucks pretending to be another guy. What's there to complain about? I used to starve. Now I get gourmet meals. What's a little acting? April 3rd, 2021, married? She actually married me? What happens if Ethan comes back? She's burning her own bridges. I need to cash in as much as I can fast. If Ethan comes back, I won't get another dime. June 11th, 2021, oh crap. I think I'm falling for my meal ticket. But what if? What if she's falling for me too? I mean, she doesn't want me to copy Ethan anymore. How are you even supposed to act when you love someone? Besides Ryan, I've never really been close to anyone. My mom named me Leo because she saw a documentary about lions right after I was born. But before she left with that other guy, she made me a rabbit out of foxtail grass. I guess that's what love is, right? July 22nd, 2021, my hands are all cut up. Loving someone is hard work. April 16th, 2022, the rabbit is finished. I made a ring for her, too. I was going to give them to her. But she played me. She never loved me. Jocelyn Reed, you liar. I'm done with you. Forever. Jocelyn's hand clenched around the knitted rabbit, her mind reeling from what she had just read. At the very bottom of the storage bag lay a tarnished silver ring. It was crudely made, but with obvious care. Inside the band, her initials J.R. were engraved. After them was a heart, followed by L.M. Leo, her reed, but with obvious care. Inside the band, her initials J.R. were engraved. After them was a heart, followed by L.M. Leo. Her breath caught in her throat. Where are you? Ms. Reed? Ms. Reed. Her assistant ran toward her, phone in hand, panting. Mr. Miller. What about him? Jocelyn shot to her feet. We just found out. Those thugs who attacked Mr. Vance in Europe. They were hired by Ethan Vance himself. It was a setup. Mr. Miller was framed. The knitted rabbit was crushed in Jocelyn's grip. In the 5 years I was with Jocelyn, I learned a few things. The business sense I picked up from her allowed Ryan and me to build our own little empire in Miami. It was nothing compared to Reed Industries, but we never had to worry about money again. I could buy whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. But just as my life was taking off, a massive investment was injected into my company. I had no choice but to meet the investor. When I walked into the conference room, I saw her, and on her hand was a familiar ring. It was rough and simple, a stark contrast to her designer suit. I stared at the woman before me, stunned. Ms. Reed. We were alone in the room. She looked at me, her eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't decipher. The next second, she threw her arms around me, her lips crashing against mine in a desperate, fiery kiss, as if years of pent-up emotion had just burst forth. I managed to push her away, but she clung to me, relentless. Her voice trembled. I was wrong. Come back. What are you talking about? She held up her hand, showing me the ring. The ring. I love it. And Jocelyn Reed. She loves Leo Miller very much. My breath hitched. Those were the initials I had carved inside. You should take that off. It's ugly. I refused to even look at it. But she smiled. No, it's not. It's beautiful. I love it. Ms. Reed, we're divorced. She didn't answer, just slid a document across the table. An asset transfer agreement. I stared at her wide-eyed. She nodded. You said before that if I gave you 2/3 of my net worth, you would come back. Here, I'm giving you everything. I thought I had misheard. Are you insane? You'd throw away your entire life's work. She looked at me. How is it throwing anything away? I found you, didn't I? The pen in my hand paused. I tossed it onto the table. I'm sorry, Ms. Reed. You should withdraw your investment. Leo. She grabbed my hand, desperate. You wanted money, didn't you? I can give it to you. I don't need it, Ms. Reed. My voice was calm. From you, I don't want anything anymore. Leo. I heard that familiar, wounded tone again. I turned. And sure enough, her eyes were red. Don't do this. Please, just take it. Don't treat me like this. There was a time when a sum of money that large would have been all I could dream of. But now that I could stand on my own 2 feet, I no longer envied Jocelyn Reed. I wasn't willing to trade my feelings for money ever again. I'm sorry, Ms. Reed. I gently pried her fingers from my arm, one by one. I turned and called for Ryan. Ryan, see our guest out. Ryan already despised Jocelyn. He appeared instantly with the entire security team, forming a wall between her and me. Jocelyn's voice, calling my name from behind, sounded hollow and distant. My steps faltered for only a second before I walked away, the sound of my dress, shoes echoing in the hallway. Ethan Vance still hadn't given up. Even after his self-pitying scheme was exposed, leaving him broke, he still believed in the power of being the one that got away. Once again, on a rainy night, he put on a purple shirt and stood outside Jocelyn's building. And once again, Jocelyn emerged with a black umbrella. But he never expected that this time, she wouldn't tilt the umbrella in his direction. Instead, she smiled coldly and ordered her men to tie him to a tree, leaving him there in the raging thunderstorm. You want to play the victim? Jocelyn's lips curled. Let me help you. No, Jocelyn, I was wrong. Let me go. I'll leave, I swear. But Jocelyn acted as if she couldn't hear him. She turned and went back inside. That night, Ethan Vance was struck by lightning, his body convulsing as he died in agony. And Jocelyn Reed never left that house again. When they found her, she was clutching a soft, warm, knitted rabbit slumped in a chair. Beside her was an empty bottle of sleeping pills. She left a will. Her entire estate was left to me. When I was handed the inheritance documents, I stared at her lying in her coffin, and my heart seemed to stop for a beat. A tear splashed onto the polished wood. I bit my lip hard. Jocelyn Reed, I whispered, my voice raw. Even in death, you just had to make me miserable.